Indeed, in this world there are so many varieties of matters, of ways to enjoy or suffer. But after being through all of them, one realizes the futility of material life. In fact, we read in Srimad Bhagavatam how the Lord puts the living entity in a situation in this world where he can see and consider all alternatives until every last hope is exhausted and one is convinced that there's no other shelter than Krishna. Then you have to continue traveling, experiencing newer varieties of methods to try to be happy. In the story of the young servant's, the maidservant's son, which is found in first canto, it is described that he was just an ordinary maidservant's boy. But by the grace of God, he was given the association of sadhus. They were living in the forest. And during the Chaturamasya, a group of Mahabhagavats, highly elevated spiritual personalities, happened to stay in the forest for those 4 months. And he had the opportunity of hearing from them and rendering service to them, even taking the sanctified prasad from their plates. In fact, hearing from the great souls and rendering service to the great souls is the first and foremost process of purification. Sometimes we preach that the chanting of the holy name is the most important process in Kali Yuga. But factually, preliminary to chanting the holy names is to hear and render service to the great souls. Because it is through their mercy that we learn how to chant the holy names properly. It is said in Bhagavatam, Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavati sevaya bhagavati uttamo sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. That by regularly hearing the Bhagavat philosophy and by rendering service to those persons who are enunciating Bhagavat philosophy by their life and words, then great service is done. And the Lord in the heart, taking great pleasure in our activities, purifies us of all material contaminations and reveals himself from within our own heart. So this young maidservant's son, hardly even literate, he was given the great fortune by the gift of God to hear from great souls and to become their menial servant. This is the process and the only process to make proper spiritual advancement. To hear from the great souls and to become their menial servant. What does it mean to become menial servant? This young boy, he was not thinking himself of any qualification whatsoever. He was just thinking it was by the great mercy of God that he was being allowed to bring them some prasad, to clean up after them, to just ask, is there anything I can do for you? And do it. That is the perfection of life. No one should ever consider that his service is so great, so important, that it warrants credit. Because if you are thinking like that, that means you are no longer menial servant. And if you are not a menial servant, you have missed the whole point of Krishna consciousness. Menial means I'm nothing. Whatever little I can do for the devotees, that is the perfection of my life. That is the greatest opportunity I have in my life, just to do something to please the devotees. And because this child was so humble in his submissive oral reception and his desire to serve, he got the heartfelt blessings from the sadhus. A sadhu cannot give his heartfelt blessings unless you approach him in this way. A sadhu is giving his blessings to everyone. But the heartfelt blessings come from one who actually is a desiring recipient of that mercy. And it is only through meekness, humility, and meniality in one's service that the heartfelt blessings of the sadhus comes into one's life. And without those blessings, we cannot approach God. So therefore, when he received the heartfelt blessings, then Krishna was satisfied with him, and Krishna took over his life. Krishna established with him faith. And this child was thinking, my God, I do not want any longer to just sit home and help my mother serve. The sadhus are gone, now what am I going to do? I want to take to the path of God realization. I want to become a renunciate, one who is giving up everything for the service of Krishna. That's what I want. But I'm in this predicament. I have to take care of my aged mother. So while he was thinking like that, by the arrangement of Krishna, who is in the heart of every living being, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshe junatishtiti, Brahmayan sarva bhutanam yantrarudhanimaya. Krishna is directing everyone from within their heart. According to your faith and according to the arrangement he wants to make, he is directing everyone. That is why a devotee should come to the platform of complete fearlessness. Because a devotee has nothing to fear because he knows Krishna is in everyone's heart. And if I'm surrendering to Krishna, Krishna will only allow and direct others to do what I need, what needs to be accepted for my purification. So Krishna, in the heart of a serpent, struck his mother and killed her. And this child, he was the only son. He was just a small boy. He had no one to protect him. He had no one to facilitate his livelihood. But he was thinking that, Krishna is so kind that he has killed my mother. My mother, she's obviously, because she has served the great soul, she's going to some higher destination. There is no doubt about that. But now I am free to completely dedicate all my time to self-realization. And in this spirit of renunciation, which is actually the highest expression of love, even to his mother, a materialist cannot understand this. A materialist would think, how hard-hearted. His mother is dead and he's glad. How is this possible? You see, a saintly person, his compassion is upon the soul. He was fully aware that due to the association of the sadhus, the Mahabhagavats, his mother would become a great devotee in her next life, if not go back to Godhead. And not only that, but he knew full well by hearing from the great souls that whatever spiritual advancement he makes, his mother shares as well. Wherever her soul may be, she gets the credit. So therefore, if I am free to become completely self-realized, if I become perfectly pure, my mother gets liberation or goes back to Godhead. So therefore, the greatest thing that I can do for my mother is become Krishna conscious. And therefore, now I am completely free to become Krishna conscious. So he was feeling actually glad, not only that he was free to serve Krishna without impediments, but he was also feeling glad because he could do the greatest act of love and service as a son to a mother. In Sanskrit, the word putra is the word for a son. Putra means one who delivers his forefathers from hellish conditions. When a son performs the proper oblations in the service of Lord Hari, when the son becomes purified through devotion to God, then whatever sinful karmic reactions his ancestors or his forefathers are maybe suffering or enjoying, they are purified from all those things, and they become liberated in a state of Krishna consciousness.